In our Focus on Life segment, and in honor of Respect Life Month, we bring you now the story of a woman who used to truly believe that abortion was nothing more than a woman's choice. But more than 32 years after her own abortion, Suzanne DiFriesse is telling a different story. She's sharing her testimony to tell people what the choice of abortion really does to women, men, and families. Reel to Reel's Carolee McGrath has the story.
I love this place. It has such a powerful message that I knew this is where I had to be.
This is the Shrine of the Holy Innocents, a peaceful retreat where Suzanne DiFriesse can be closer to her daughter. The shrine, still under construction at the National Shrine of the Divine Mercy in Stockbridge, is a memorial to all children who died young from an illness, miscarriage, or from an abortion.
I tried to not think about that abortion for the longest time. I just put it somewhere where I didn't have to deal with it, and it just comes back. It kept coming back.
It's been 32 years since Suzanne had her abortion, a choice that she says she thought was going to solve all of her problems.
I grew up in a family of 7. I was the youngest of 7. My dad left when I was 5. Our family life at that point kind of went to pieces. It really was a difficult place to be at home. I used to try to escape.
But Suzanne's escape caused her more pain.
I met a person when I was 15, and we started dating, became very serious, and I got involved in it was a very abusive relationship. I ended up getting pregnant when I was 16.
Suzanne says her mother, not surprisingly, was devastated by the news. She says her mother was weary from dealing with the troubles of her older brothers, and it was her mother who took her to get the abortion.
My mom took me to the hospital. The sense of letting her down was so profound at that point, after all she had been through.
Suzanne says at that point her life began to spiral out of control. She and her boyfriend broke up, and it wasn't long before she found herself in another abusive relationship.
I ended up taking various different paths that were not healthy, making some serious choices that were dangerous to me, and dangerous to others, and hurtful to my relationship with my family and my relationship with God, which at that point, after the abortion, really became non-existent.
Suzanne, who was raised a Catholic, got married outside of the church and had a son. But the marriage didn't last, and suddenly she was left to raise her son on her own, all the while still haunted by her abortion.
You carried a child. You know you took your child's life. You know that you made a decision, a choice, and that choice was something that splintered your soul from the moment you did it. It does. It's there. It's always there.
And just when she thought she would never find that head-over-heels love she craved, she says God introduced her to her husband, Richard.
My husband is just a wonderful man, and he knew from the very beginning, and he's been very supportive.
Suzanne and Richard were married in the Catholic Church in 1984. They had 2 more boys, but she says she still kept God at a distance.
After the abortion, I tried to justify it, and I actually was saying, oh, it's a woman's choice. I became almost pro-choice because I think I was just trying to justify myself. I knew, and a woman knows, she knows in her heart that she's taken her child's life. And that's something it's difficult to live with.
As the years went by and her boys experienced all of those joyful firsts, first words, first steps, first day of school, Suzanne kept thinking about her first baby.
Eventually, when I got married and I had children, I mean, how can you deny once you carry a child in your womb, you feel the movement, you feel that life, and it all comes back to you, and you recognize that, I should have had another child. There should have been somebody else here.
The pain from the abortion that Suzanne tried to keep buried kept resurfacing. But in 1993, Suzanne's brother made her an offer that changed everything. Her brother, who had his share of troubles growing up, had come back to the Catholic Church. He also made a pilgrimage to MEDJUGORJE in Bosnia-Herzegovina, where many believe that the Virgin Mary has been appearing since 1981. He wanted to send Suzanne there.
I kept saying, I don't need to do that. That's, I don't believe in that stuff. And eventually, God won out, and I went on this pilgrimage.
That was 12 years ago in 1998. Suzanne says she was so overcome by God's peace that she immediately came back to the Catholic Church. She went to confession, and with the help and support of her husband and a priest, she baptized the baby she had aborted.
Since then, I've thought about it a lot, and I realized that because I never had a father and I never had that relationship with a father, it was the Blessed Mother who came and brought me back to her son. She knew I would understand a mother's love. I just didn't know what a father's love was, so Mom came and got me.
When she returned home, she began attending Mass and went to confession. And even though she knew God had forgiven her, she couldn't quite forgive herself. Then one Sunday morning, she saw an ad in her church bulletin for Rachel's Vineyard retreats, run by the Diocese of Springfield. The retreat weekends, which are kept strictly confidential, are designed to help women and men struggling with spiritual and emotional pain from a past abortion. She made a retreat at the National Shrine of the Divine Mercy in March of 2006.
When a woman has an abortion, because it is so against, what God's teachings are, you almost divorce yourself from your faith as well, because you feel like God can never forgive you for doing that. And of course God can forgive you, and this is what these weekends are all about. It's showing how much He wants you back and how much healing He wants and how much restoration He wants for your soul.
Marian Father Anthony Gramlich is the former rector at the Divine Mercy Shrine, and he also used to be the chaplain for Rachel's Vineyard retreats.
There's more people than we could ever think or imagine that are suffering from the effects of abortion, and this ministry helps to heal those effects, gives people an opportunity to tell their story, gives people an opportunity to heal.
During the retreat weekend, Suzanne had the opportunity to name her baby. She says she always thought the baby was a boy, but that God revealed to her that that child that she had mourned the loss of for so many years was actually a baby girl.
While I was going through the ritual and praying along with everybody, I recognized that my baby wasn't a boy, it was a girl. I clear as day saw her. So I know she's happier than she could ever be here. And that was clear, that was made clear to me as well. She was playing and she didn't want to leave the group, but she wanted to come see me, but she wanted to stay with Jesus. And to me the image was just stay, you're okay. It was just seeing her and knowing how happy she was the most healing thing.
Suzanne says she's reconciled with both her mother and her father, who passed away a few years ago. Before he died, he came back to the Catholic Church. She says her mom has also come back to the church. Suzanne is now a facilitator for the Rachel's Vineyard retreats. She works with the youth in her parish and has just begun sharing her testimony.
It's us who condemn ourselves. It's us who throw the guilt and throw the stones at ourselves over and over again. And He's just reaching His arms out to you, saying, come back, I love you.
Suzanne says she didn't set out to be a pro-life advocate, but feels like God is calling her to reach out to both women and men who might be suffering from a past abortion. Sharon?
And Carolee, how can people learn more about Rachel's Vineyard?
They can call the Diocese at 452-0661 or log on to the website at diospringfield.org. As a matter of fact, there is a retreat coming up this November.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Carolee.